can do it.
Oh, lost
Look
it.
at that. I planned that the whole time.
Welcome back to the channel. This is Michael and Dustin with RC Crawley. And today we're going to play in the sandbox. You know, before we get into the sandbox, we're going to have to do an upgrade. So we've got these plus 2mm steel drive stub axle shafts for the Scx30 from our friends across the pond at Hot Racing. Installation tips, yep, we'll figure it out. Of course, this is going on the Scx30 Jeep. I really should get the Dremel out and just commit to this bumper delete. So what we're going to do is replace our axle shafts, and they're going to be 2mm wider, which should help us on the side hills. So before we dive into it, let's test our side hill on the setup ramp. Setup table? Yeah, the setup table. Since we're going to extend the axle reach, let's go ahead and check our ramp travel index. So I'd say we're about a 6.5. Next, we'll check our side hill. I promise there is a tiny little Jeep back here. $30, $35, $40, about $43 to $44, we'll say, for the side hill. It exists. You saw it fall over. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we get with our Hot Racing extended axle shafts. Looks like some spacers and or bushings, some wheel nuts. Don't know why we need wheel nuts. These are axles. And it looks like we've got 2 of each. Front axle stubs and rear axle shafts. So we will replace the rear axle shafts and then take the knuckles off the front to put the extended axle stubs on the front, and then we'll be a little bit wider. I've gone ahead and taken the wheels off, and pretty familiar setup. We've got some retaining screws in the rear that we will remove to replace our back axle shaft, and then we will remove our knuckle to replace our front axle stub. So let's go ahead and dive into it. I've got my trusty Radio Shack precision screwdriver set. I would recommend you go back in time 25 years and buy one of these. Otherwise, just search precision screwdriver and you'll find what you need. So we will take out these retaining screws and replace this back axle shaft, and I'll meet you back in a moment. We've got our retaining screws removed from our rear axle. Pull this one out. We're going to swap our bearing over to our new extended axle shaft. And we'll just make sure that we seat our keyed end of our axle shaft into the worm gear setup, and we'll be good to go. Here we are. Rear axle done, front axle not done. You can see it sticks out further. That's our side hill gain. And as you set this in, you'll feel it click into place. You might need to rotate it a bit. And just like that, it pops into place. You know you're good. Easy part is over. Rear axle shaft, retaining screws back in, all done. Front is a little slightly more complicated. We're going to remove our knuckles, so we've got a screw on the bottom and a screw on the top. Our knuckle will fall off. We're going to pull this stub out, replace it with our new axle stub, bearing on the outside, and we're good to go. So I'm going to pull this apart and we'll swap the new piece in. Our screws are removed from our steering knuckle. This pops out. We pull out our axle stub. We swap in our new extended axle stub. We get our steering lined back up. And we put the screw back in. And now we have extended axles. And we should see a side hill gain. So I'm going to button this back up and I will meet you back on the test bench and the setup table. Here we are, all finished up. Just a little bit of a wider stance. Not too crazy. I do love a scale build. But this should help us just a bit on the course. So let's go ahead and get back on the setup table and check our numbers. Back to check the ramp travel index. See if this 2mm reach changes anything. Not really. We're going to call that 6.5, maybe 6 3/4. And let's go ahead and check our side hill numbers. We can see the Jeep peeking from behind. It's 30, 35, 40, 45. So we've gained a degree or so. Not bad. And now it's time to play in the sand. So this is Kinetic sand. If you don't know, now you know. It is a little bit like Play-Doh, but it's sand. So let's just build a little bit of something to crawl over and see how we do. We are trying out our new sandbox and extended axle shafts. I'm fighting for grip, but we find it. I think we got a little high-centered. So if you are unfamiliar with Kinetic sand, let me show you what's so cool about this stuff. It never dries out. You can shape it, cut it, form it into whatever shape you want. And then with our little Scx30, we can crawl it. And we can make this as hard as we want. And give ourselves as big or as small of a challenge as we're up to. So I think our 2mm axle extensions are going to prove very beneficial out in the real world. And our kinetic sand will help us find that limit here on the workbench. I hope this has been fun and useful for somebody out there. Upgrade your Scx30 and buy yourself an infinite course. I will catch you again soon in the next video, and we'll be doing some more upgrades on the Scx30 soon. I will catch you again soon. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share if you haven't already done so.